Eat more chips, don't let the salad win. That's the message in terms of nature of the food maybe that we consume in Wales.
Oh, in Wrexham town they say there's a team that likes to play association football with precision. On the terraces they call, come on Nixie, hit that ball, and we're off to the second division. Oh, we'll see the Reds with me, and you will swear that you will see the vision. Top of Division 3, led by Arno Litti, we're off to the second division.
Hello and welcome to the Eat More Chips podcast, the official podcast for one of the most recognisable flags in the Welsh football supporters universe. In a week where new figures released Tuesday show that with a population of 23.6 million sheep and 5.3 million people, there are about 4.5 sheep for every New Zealander, the Government Statistics Agency data has shown. Long being the butt of jokes of the imbalance of sheep to people, it's actually down from 22 sheep per people in 1982, when farming sheep for meat and wool was New Zealand's biggest earner. Now, years of falling wool prices prompted by a global shift to synthetic fibres have led farmers to change what they do with their land. New Zealand is about the size of the United Kingdom, but it has a human population 13 times smaller than the UK. That means there's plenty of room for sheep. However many sheep to people, you can guarantee that these two have shagged them all. It's Jamie and Taz. Jamie's disappeared. He's gone. He's in that plane flying over Edgeley Park.
No, I was just picking something up off the floor.
So mean. So cruel. You are so cruel. Mind you, having said that, I think this one's my favourite. This one made me laugh. Well done, Gareth Collins. Nice one.
It's funny.
Oh, dear. Well,
commiserations to Stockport.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was very close. It was very close. I watched the second half. It was very close.
Yeah,
look,
absolutely.
It's all jest. It's part of football, isn't it? Banter. They gave it to us in spades a couple of years ago, so it swings and roundabouts, isn't it? So
totally,
let's take it in return.
Well said. Well, Daz, firstly, you need to apologise to Aaron, who was listening last week when at work. You came out with the gem, you can only play with what's in front of you, and made him laugh so much he messed up his welding. So he had to all again. So now you have the chance. Daz, would you like to please apologise to Aaron for being champion and making him laugh?
Yes. Apologies to Aaron. I never meant to undo the good work that you were clearly in the middle of doing. But sometimes these moments happen, and I'm not going to be sorry about that picture. I sent that to you with the word champion underneath it. And there's two champions there. So I thought I'd celebrate. So well, there we go.
I don't think you see, but I've already got your plate done.
Hey, excellent.
Date on, so I will get it to you, and you can stick it on the side and add it to last year's plate, which is absolutely fantastic. So well done. But yes, sorry, Aaron. Apologies. He managed to fuck up a weld for you, and send him the bill. Send him the bill. He's got a workshop. He'll sort it all out for you. It'll be all absolutely.
I can give it a go anyway.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to cry now, even when the world comes crashing in. Don't forget to sing when you win.
Jamie, as we're recording this week's pod, the first episodes of season 4 of Welcome to Wrexham are about to be released, with episode 1 entitled All In, where Wrexham AFC enter the ultra-competitive EFL League One, while owners Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney confront the financial costs of remaining competitive. Humphrey Carr makes a big commitment, and in episode 2 is also being released on Friday, entitled High Hopes, as Wrexham AFC spar with League One rivals Birmingham City and its owner Tom Brady. A Ukrainian family start a small business in the city of Wrexham. Now, I've been rewatching season 3, funnily enough, this week, and two things struck me. One, how much I'd forgotten about League Two, considering that was only last year. How is that possible? And two, how much has changed in the kind of the 12 to 18 months since then. I mean, Jamie, what are you looking forward to most about the new season?
I think for me, I think we've talked about this before with the documentary. From my perspective, obviously, I like the footballing element of it. So anything that's kind of things we wouldn't have seen around the footballing side of things, as much as I enjoy the whole thing, so when it's like training ground footage or in the changing room ground footage, of changing room footage and things like that, anything particularly around the footballing side of it is what I particularly like. But it, like we said before, even though it's not really made for us, it's kind of made for a broader audience. It's enjoyable to watch, isn't it? I mean, unless you really are a staunch fan of another club and you'll just poo-poo it, whatever. It is a good watch. If you try and watch it as a neutral, and Daz will tell you, because obviously him and his family are neutrals, and they thoroughly enjoy watching it as a sort of standalone spectacle. I just. Obviously knowing again it's another happy ending, I just can't wait to see. I just can't wait to see what they've got in store for this season and things we've not seen, already.
I don't want to see the films that you see that have happy endings.
Yeah, happy ending you don't pay for once.
Very different finish.
Daz, is the James household looking forward to another dose of North Wales storytelling?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I must admit it's coming out at a time when there's a lot of TV demand on the TV time, because Slow Horses is coming out as well, and we love that show. So it's going to be competition for the television to get the classic footage, classic sort of discussions about who gets control of the remote. But no, I think this is a season that once again my family have managed to, certainly my other half, she's avoided most results, doesn't really know much about how it happened. And of course, news story, for spoiler alert, there's like I say, the happy ending. But that's about it. So I think they will enjoy it, and also the storytelling. That's the bit that they really enjoy is meeting the people of Wrexham, and because unfortunately the only examples she's got is people like you. So it's nice to see other people. Nice to see other people who are telling lovely stories about their life in Wrexham, and it's quite an engaging watch. So yeah, no, it's really good. It's really good. So we're looking forward to it.
Sorry,
that's funny.
Come and see the rest with me, and you will swear that you have seen a vision. We don't just know they feel when they beat me by the field. We're off to the second division.
As we've reached the end of the season, there's a number of traditions we need to adhere to. Jamie has a bath, Daz gives his liver a rest, and I finally change my pants. All of these things have worked for the last 3 seasons, giving Wrexham incredible success. But by far the biggest talismans to Wrexham's promotion is the biannual visit to the pod by our next guest. 269 Wrexham appearances in 2 stints, 96 League and Cup goals, stepped up when needed to manage the club, won silverware and nearly bust the flush, to say the least. And all of this for Wrexham, never mind for Coventry City, Blackpool and Bury, amongst others. Now, talking us through every game with clinical analysis alongside Mia Roberts, like Wrexham's answer to George and Mildred, please welcome the only man that can keep Darren Ferguson on topic. We're delighted to welcome back to the Eat Much Chips pod, Andy Morrell. Hello, Andy.
How we doing?
Good, thank you. Welcome back to the pod. With your Wrexham fan... No, sorry, no problem. With your Wrexham fan hat on, rather than your professional pundit hat on, are there any superlatives left to say about Wrexham in the 2020s?
I don't think so. I think it's been pretty much put out there. It's a ridiculous happening, do you know what I mean, of the last 4 years. I don't think anybody with the most pessimistic hat on would have predicted what's happened over the last 3 years and where we're at this precise moment and where we could be heading. I think it was what wildest dreams are made of, aren't they? And we're so looking forward to it, and we're so lucky to be involved with it as it goes.
I mean, looking back at the season as a whole, before we kind of go into any intricacies, as it were, obviously there were lots of kind of highs, lows, lots of areas where you're thinking Wrexham aren't going to do it, Wrexham's not going to do it. Yes, they are. I mean, for you, what do you think was the turning point for Wrexham, which got them towards that promotion at the end of the season?
The turning point at the end of the season, I don't think really there was. I think the first 5 games of the season really set the precedent of how we were going to go about our work this year. The lads looked fitter. They had a brilliant pre-season. I thought they were in really good shape, and they seemed to have a plan of how they were going to play that was slightly different to how it's been over the past couple of years. We were going to be a little bit more defensive, a little bit more solid, and we were maybe going to nick a couple of wins here and there, and that certainly set us in good stead for the rest of the season. I thought that was a brilliant platform to jump off, and that really gave us a lot of momentum and hope that we could be quite successful this year. I think January was a difficult month for us. We had a couple of losses, and we sort of lost our way a little bit. But then the club are in a position that they're able to just go and strengthen when needed, and they did that. They went and got 3 players in January, and they were the catalysts that really took us on and took us up. But really that structure of our base of really solid and hard to beat, and then we'll go and create something off that, and we'll win games from being really solid, set us in great stead for the whole season.
Absolutely. I think it's fair to say that this season has been full of surprises. I think that'd be a bit of an understatement if we said it was full of surprises. But at what point in this season did you think it's on? Promotion is on. We can do it this season. At what point in the season did you start thinking that?
I sort of think it was when after the window had shut and we got a little bit of momentum with the 2 new lads up top. I thought with Wycombe and I thought Birmingham, when we played Birmingham at home, and I felt that the away game was such an eye-opener for me for how good a team could be in this league. I thought Birmingham were very, very good, and they just took us to the cleaners a little bit. But then when we came home and played them at home, we gave a brilliant account of ourselves that night, and we could have probably and should have maybe won the game. But we knew Birmingham were pretty much going to go up at that point, and we hoped that they'd go and beat everybody else after that. But I think that really laid a marker down for, well, actually, we are a really good team in this league, and we've taken the team at the top that really, really showed us a bit of class when we played away. We really took them close, and if not for some brilliant defending by them, we could have won the game. And I think that proved to me personally that, well, this team are right in there with a shout, right in there. If they can play like that for the majority, I think that it would have been difficult to maintain those standards right the way through, but we kept chipping away with these 1-0 wins. And that middle part of the season where everything's pretty much forgettable, we were just coming out with 1-0 wins against Barnsley. These teams that there's nothing really going on in the game, but it was another Tuesday and we just kept winning. And then for me, the game that I was Blackpool away, I thought that was the one where I thought, blimey, that's why we're at the top of this league, because we are that good. Do you know what I mean? A lot of games are in the balance, but that was, they were in really good form, and we just absolutely destroyed them from minute one, and we're right on the front foot and authoritative and intensive and all the metaphors you want to give about a football team. We were on it, and I thought, that proves that we are good enough. Now we've just got to try and get over that line in the last couple of games.
I thought you were going to give the manager's answer then of at the final whistle of the Charlton game. That's when I thought we were going to get promotion. But fair play to you. You gave an honest. An honest one. Just very quickly, because you mentioned it at the start of your answer there about the January transfer window. Can I just very quickly ask you about Jay Rodriguez in particular? Obviously,
yes,
come under what I think is fair to say is a fair bit of scrutiny by the fan base. But I'm really fascinated to get an insight from yourself. Obviously, such a brilliant knowledge of the game, both as a manager and a player. And then if you look at the stats of what we did with him in the team, it speaks for itself. We did a lot better than we did worse, if that makes sense. What do you make of his spell so far?
I think he would probably say it's a bit mixed. I don't think he's played to the top of his game, but he came off 6 months of bitty football. He hadn't really played a lot of games. He wasn't in any great form, and that's why I think the Sam Smith purchase was was really, really high-end recruitment, because he was bang in form in the league and scoring goals, and he just dropped him into our team and he kept and maintained that rhythm, whereas we were trying to get Rodriguez up to speed a little bit, and you put in two new guys completely together that have never played or met each other before. So you've got a lot of conundrums going on in the mix there. But like you said, the results spoke for themselves. Okay, he wasn't creating, he wasn't probably playing as well as he possibly could have done. But what he did do was he was working so hard for the team. You know, we tried the Elliot Lee one up there with Ollie Palmer or whatever. And I think that's what the manager had in mind, was somebody that was going to help defensively for the team, but also maybe score goals at the other end. And I think Rodriguez has took it on himself to defend too much. I would love him to stay a little bit higher up, like Fletcher plays it a little bit more, but he took it on himself that he was going to work really, really hard. He knew he was probably a 70-minute player, that he was going to start and just run, and by 70 minutes he'd get taken off and Fletcher would come on. That's been the blueprint all season. And I think he's had some sublime touches, really important penalty against Stockport, even though he missed the first one, he'd say it was rubbish, but he finished the second one well. I think he probably wanted more goals, but for what he's done for the team and his high speed running during a game, by all accounts, is right up there with a lot of them. So it's showing that he's really working hard for the team, and that's why the team's results have improved, especially away from home.
Yeah, fair play. I was just fascinated because obviously, like I say, he come under a bit of flack. Obviously,
but you'd always like to score. Do you know what I mean? As a striker, you always want to score. Do you know what I mean? And early on to get yourself off, and he didn't get that. So everybody expects him. He's played for England. He's going to score goals at this level. But Ian Rush didn't.
And I think that's probably as well. That's probably why he's come under a bit of sort of scrutiny from the fans, because, you know, like you say, as a striker, the fans just want to see goals being banged in. So it's trying to get that overview of what, exactly like you've just explained, what he's doing for the team. And you know, like I say, it's a fascinating one. But Phil, let's talk Phil Parkinson briefly. I mean, Christ, where do you start? I mean, the guy has achieved things that very few managers have done in the game. His win percentage is absolutely ridiculous. 3 successive promotions, which is just unheard of, and I don't think any of us in our wildest dreams thought, we were going to get. This is like asking you the meaning of life, but what do you think his secret is?
Well, first and foremost, I think it's probably the signing of the owners. Bringing Phil Parkinson in, and obviously hindsight's very good to see that, but he's right up there. I think his main quality is his ability to stay 7 out of 10, regardless of what is going on around him, because there is a furore around Wrexham. There is this story and this passion around the club and the reach that it has. But he has been so good at staying when everything's going well, just staying steady state and bringing the players down to earth and keeping their feet on the ground. And when things go a little bit awry, everything, fans go and it's not good enough and all this. But he stayed steady state and he's stuck to his guns and his formation and the way that they play. He has changed it in the summer, the way that we've gone about games, I think. But he still has principles that he sticks to, and he's not wavered by that. Despite a defeat or a poor performance, he still thinks that that's the best way to go about it. And with the amount of experience he's had, I'm sure his experience in the changing rooms at halftime has got so many points over the past 3 seasons, and I'll bring it back to the Wycombe game away, where we had the big break for the guy that got took ill. That's a situation that not many managers get put in, and we had a 1,000 game manager in our changing rooms, and Wycombe had maybe a 50-60 game manager in theirs. And I just felt that he was able to deal with that. He knew he'd experienced that type of thing before, and he was able to portray, listen, we've got a 15-minute game coming up, so get your minds prepped, get yourself ready, because that's the way that we're going to go, and we're going to go all guns blazing for 15 minutes. Yes, we cleared one off the line within 30 seconds of the restart, but we got that goal, and we were very, very good in that last 15 minutes, and I think those little bits are what separates him from the rest of them in our league. We could play pretty football. Phil Parkinson could go and play the pretty tiki-taka stuff that a lot of fans want, are desperate for, but it doesn't necessarily bring you wins, and he is all about winning. Whatever it takes, I don't care. We're going to win the game regardless of performance, shape, whatever you want, team, who plays. I'll pick the team that's going to win us the game, and I don't care the backlash from it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Andy, if we can take you back to your playing days, I mean, obviously you've been a player who's been involved in a promotion within a squad, 2003, obviously with Wrexham. You know, what feelings are going through your mind as a player when that final whistle blows and you know you've done your job and you're going up next season?
A pure relief. Is the first one, is that you are, because you've the aim at the start of the season is to get promoted, right? And so that's a simple, very simple strategy of where we would want to be at the end of the season. And with what goes on at Wrexham, there is so much more pressure to doing that, and it has been over the past 3 seasons, to get in there than there is on a Leyton Orient or a Charlton, for example. They're not fully expected, but everybody expects Wrexham to keep going and going. So the first emotion for me is elation, obviously, for actually succeeding and being able to fulfill what you're aiming for at the start of the season, but also huge relief that all that effort has been worthwhile, because you can come so close and use all your energies to try and do that, and it just not happen. You know, you only have to look at Cov last night, and they're 30 seconds away from possibly penalties and a playoff, and it's so heartbreaking. And so all these energies, and everybody's trying so hard to do the same thing, but you're the ones that can be successful. So that relief and emotion, and also I get to play in a higher league. I get to challenge myself in a better league. I get to challenge myself. Maybe we play with better players. Maybe we're going to play against some massive teams, and some better players will be coming up against, and really test yourself as a person and as an individual to see how far you could possibly go. Do you know what I mean? So as a group, they deserve all the credit that they get. And as individuals, you know, the lads that have come in and added to the squad, the whole thing is based on this culture that we've had since the National League, of those standards that they're set, even by the lads that aren't involved. They're the ones setting the standards still. And it's just been a really good thing to be involved in. It's like crazy, but let's enjoy it, because that doesn't, like
Absolutely.
you said, a manager, and one manager to get a promotion is a brilliant thing. Do you know what I mean? So to get 3 in 3 years is absolutely insane.
Well, when you look at those players, you know, players like George Dobson, he's had all his career in League One. This is the first time he's playing in the Championship, and yet you've got something like Andy Cannon, who's had 4 promotions in a row. So, yeah, you know, it's so rare, isn't it? It's crazy. I mean, when you got promoted, did you kind of live in the moment and celebrate? I mean, obviously not Vegas. You weren't that lucky. I'm sure your Blackpool is probably the best you had to go to. But did you live in the moment and celebrate, or were you already looking at, right, what's next? What am I doing next? What level have I got to get to? How quickly did you get into, okay, let's move forward mode?
Yeah, I think it's so important in a position I am now to look back and go, you've got to enjoy it, because it doesn't happen all the time. I know it has happened the last 3 years for us, but this doesn't happen. I was on the pitch with Eric Allen after the Charlton game, and excuse me, and I've never met him, you know, and I just introduced myself and said, you do realise that this just doesn't happen. Do you know what I mean? 3 promotions on the spin just doesn't happen to football clubs ever. So this is crazy what's happened. So I think I was one that I was just quickly, right, I'm really looking forward to the next thing. But really, you should enjoy it. And the lads are enjoying it, aren't they? You know, and they should. They should celebrate with all the pressure that is on them to produce like they have done week in, week out. That they deserve every praise. But then I'm sure in Vegas, they'll be talking already about going to Leicester and going to, you know, Derby and these places that they've got affection to, you know, that they might have played at before, and they're looking forward to going to these places. And can we step up? And the talk will be who's going to bring in, you know, and who maybe go out the door, and who's going to leave, and all these things will still be being talked about by the players, I'm sure, in Vegas over a whiskey or whatever they drink out there.
Well, they were stuck in a lift for an hour, apparently, so they had lots of time to
talk. Were they?
I would imagine. Apparently so, yeah. Apparently they were stuck in a lift for an hour, so yeah, there you go.
Was that self-inflicted? I read somewhere that was self-inflicted.
Yeah, apparently they were so excited. They were so excited to go to the party on the roof, they were jumping up and down, and apparently that broke the lift. So they had to wait for the fire brigade to come out and free them. Apparently, I mean... that's the newspaper. So you're not sure, but I'm sure there's no smoke without fire from that point of view.
I think allegedly is what you have to say just to cover yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, cover it. Yeah, definitely.
So obviously this season, Andy, you've been full time on the co-coms for Wrexham. I have to say, yourself and Mia and obviously Mark have done a fantastic job. The pre-match and the post-match and the half-time. It's really, really great coverage, to be fair. You've spoken before about your enjoyment of commentary and punditry. I know it's not the same as playing and managing, but you've said it before that you enjoy it. But how much have you enjoyed this season as a whole in this full-time role with your co-coms?
The season before I was doing a couple of months with Radio Wales, and so to be given the chance to do every game if I was available was something I couldn't turn down. And to be around the club as much as I am, to get to understand the players and the way they play, and watching every game home and away and getting the feeling of what the sense is from the crowd at home, crowd away, every week in, week out. And you also get to understand what the players are thinking, what the players are going to do. If you're watching them that often, you sort of know those relationships. Clewer's going to play out wide to Barnett. Barnett's going to move. Then Andy Cannon's going to obviously overlap. And then there's going to be you sort of get those relationships, those patterns out. So you can sort of see them coming and sort of see where it might be going down. I've absolutely loved it. I've loved the match day live stuff. That's really something a bit different for me, to try and talk straight before a game and half time and analyze so quickly and talk about it. And Chris with us is fantastic at presenting it and sets us up really well and gets some really good content on there. I've got to interview Daz Ferguson, and try and that's the first time I've ever interviewed anybody, and God, I was nervous, but he was brilliant, and that's something maybe that we can look at maybe doing a little bit more of. And the scope for this thing could be huge. You know what I mean? I don't know where it might lead, but to be around the club and be so close to it, and I can speak to Humphrey and I can speak to Sean and I can try and find, and I know quite a few of the opposition players, so being right by the tunnel, I can sort of get to speak to them and see what they're thinking and get their viewpoint from their camp and stuff. So I really feel absolutely privileged to be bringing it. And when I do it, I just try and help people with what's happening. So, why are we not in control of the game? Why are we not beating the first man? Why is things going on in the game that maybe a fan might not see for something? And if I can educate or help, because I was talking about a right winger cheating. They're cheating, so they're sort of staying up and they're not coming back fully defending, so that when they break, and I had loads of messages going, what's cheating? What does that mean? And so I've got to really strip it back a little bit, and try and explain these things, because it's people around football and English football especially, they probably know what cheating means, but the broader audience that we are, especially we're going to America quite a bit, then we need to make sure that they understand everything that we're saying. But I think Mia has been an absolute sensation as well. She's been a brilliant addition to the team. She gives really good insight. She's very, very clever. She doesn't say a lot, but when she does, it's really important and really pertinent with what she says. And it's just a great laugh as well. We try and have fun on the show. Mark's obviously, he's the craziest out of the lot, and he makes ridiculous noises that nobody's ever heard in their world. But
I think there are dogs.
What makes him.
I think there are dogs across the land which are basically going, "Do you hear that? Do you hear that?" Particularly when we score. So
what's that?
Absolutely.
And that quirkiness of Mark, and I think it just adds to the whole thing. And I hope we're bringing a good package and people are enjoying it, because that's the main thing.
Absolutely. Obviously, an unbelievably memorable season. You said it yourself there. You've been able to go, every home, every away game. Which is your favourite game that you've commentated on this season?
I'll probably go back to the Blackpool one. It was, for different reasons, but I obviously got to go back to a club that I played for, had 2 brilliant years there. And so I ended up doing the lounges over there before we did the match day live, and there's me in my Wrexham, black hoodie, and I'm up in their lounge. I've got to hide it, sort of with my arm across my body like that, trying to hide it when I'm doing it. But they sort of understood it, so I had a good time there. met one of my mates who I played with, Keegan Parker. And so we managed to do that. Then we do the match day live. Then we're literally sat 2 feet away from the away end. We're actually literally right in amongst the fans, and you can hear them. They're right on it. Then Rob McElhenney, he jumps in the crowd literally 5 minutes before the game. And the whole thing, you could tell, was so important. And off the back of the results that we had previously, we had 2 draws that weren't particularly pretty, and Wickham had obviously won, and so they went back above us. And the sense that, we've blown it. But actually, those 2 points were so important in that little run-in. And then the noise from an hour before, pretty much, the Wrexham fans were outstanding. And then the team come out and produce their one or two, number 1 or 2 of the performances of the season for the team. They were absolutely at it. And Steve Bruce after the game admitted that, they were just better than us. Yeah. Simple as that, because we just ran all over them. We steamrolled them. And we saw the best of Jay, and we saw the best of Sam Smith, and we saw the best of Ollie Rathbone. They all brought their A games in the right game and at the right time. And this is what this team's done so often, isn't it? That whenever their chips are down or the backs against the walls, they come out swinging, and that's a big thing to have to get over the line in these difficult times.
Yeah.
Obviously, Mia's currently out with the Wrexham side in Hong Kong over the Hong Kong Sevens
tournament. How did she get on
that? I don't know. I don't think they haven't played yet. I think they start playing tomorrow. I think. I mean, it'd be great that she's pulling on the Wrexham shirt again.
Brilliant.
Obviously, because she currently plays for Llandudno. I mean, did you get a chance to give her any advice before she left, or have you just left her do her own thing?
Yeah. She's going TST as well in a month or so time with the Wrexham team as well, which would be
brilliant.
Which would be another fantastic experience for her. She's just got that link, and that she's so mature for her age. She understands what her role is. She's really learning with her university stuff that she's doing as well, and she's getting a lot of opportunities here and there. And she's got so much better as well. Her learning is so quick, and she does her research before games, so she knows her knowledge, she knows her stats. And I think she's just got a huge future ahead of her, whatever she does. We were even talking, we went for a match day live lunch after the presentation or whatever on the Sunday, and just for something to eat. And we're like, you obviously need to think about an agent here, because your profile is big. You're in the documentary and stuff, and you've got this, and you go into and you're doing university, and now you're on the TST. Now you're becoming quite a celebrity around it. If it's something that you're interested in, then it's, and you want to pursue, then opportunities come to people like yourself, especially with the age that you are.
And as a player, she's got a few goals in her. She scored a few goals for Llandudno as well, which is great, isn't it?
Yeah, she's a fullback, so a wing back. So she's like turns up at the back stick, I think, every now and again, and just takes a page out of James McLean, I think, to try and play a little bit like him. But she watches so much football, She's a good player, and she's an honest player. Do you know what I mean? And I think leaving Wrexham was a really tough one to take at such a young age, but she's handled it with a lot of grace and a lot of finesse, and she's looking to just get back and play as well as she can, I'm sure.
Well, Wrexham now are moving into territory that we've not been in since the early 80s, which is just... It just completely blows my mind. I just about remember 77, 78 because I was about 9 years old, and I remember the celebrations after that last Rotherham game where Mickey Thomas was absolutely on one on that day. I mean, the football landscape, though, has changed so massively since then. I mean, you've obviously played in the second tier with Coventry and Blackpool. I mean, what's the best piece of advice that you can offer to Wrexham players moving into this incredibly difficult and competitive league?
Yes, my one thing would be not to fear it, would be just to go for it. Momentum in football is an amazing thing, and confidence. And we've got that in abundance, do you know what I mean? And we've got a plan, and we've got a way of playing that may get tweaked a little bit, but nothing too much to take us up into the Championship. I don't think we have to fear it. We've played against Sheffield United, we've played against Cov. But it's going to be really difficult, as we found when we went to Blackburn. Do you know what I mean? And we got a bit of a laying down there, but we will improve the team, I'm sure. They'll go into the transfer market, and that is one thing that they've got a lot of things right. Is the recruitment, is the type of person that they've brought into the club. I can't think of many that haven't worked out, and even if they haven't worked out, is that because they're a bad player, or is that because they've not been needed because the players in the team are doing so well? Do you know what I mean? So they're a decent backup. So I'd just go for it. Why fear it? Go and see what happens. Do people expect us to get out of the league again? I don't think so. Did I think the same about this league? Yes, but
yes.
You never know. But again, coming into League One, I thought there's some big teams in there, and we may struggle, we may be mid-table, or maybe pushing the playoffs if lucky. But there's a lot of similar teams in there that are, you can beat them. You can beat them on your day if you've got a solid base. Burnley have got promoted with over 100 points with a brilliant defence. Do you know what I mean? That's got them out the league. So we've got a good defence. We've got the second best defence in the league. So we're taking that in first and foremost. So if you add 1 or 2 to that, maybe, who knows, we'll be solid again next season. But you're coming up better teams. I just don't fear it. Just go for it. We've got nothing to lose really now. We are in now where we're back to the underdog. We are now not expected. We are punching above our weight, and can we compete with the big boys? And that's a great position, because I think Wrexham love that, and we'll certainly, and the players, I'm sure, will come out swinging.
I mean, you mentioned it earlier, Coventry. We know now that we're definitely playing Coventry next season because they lost last night. Obviously, Bristol City are now back in the mix as well, which is great for me because I actually live quite near to Bristol, so that's good for me for the away day, which is perfect. Yeah. Obviously, the four teams in the League One playoff are still in there: Charlton Athletic and Wickham, Leyton Orient, and Stockport County. I mean, with all those teams potentially, and the ones who are already in the Championship, which team are you looking forward to watching us take on the most next season?
Well, obviously going back to Cov is going to be a brilliant thing for me to go back and see my team. Obviously, I got lucky with the FA Cup draw, etc., which was a brilliant game. I got to see a fair few people, but to see them twice will be great. The one team I'm looking forward to the most is Portsmouth, because I've never been there. As a player in all my time as manager, we've always missed each other in the league, so I've never been, so that's one ground that I'm going to be able to tick off and go. And I was having a coffee with a friend of mine from Cov, Michael Doyle, who played down at Pompey and Leeds, Sheffield United, and Cov, and he said it's a brilliant place, brilliant ground, really close, really tight knit, and the fans are going right from the first whistle. So really looking forward to going down there and just feeling that atmosphere.
Nice. We're not going to ask you for a prediction for next season. It's too early for that. There's too many factors that are going to play a part at this stage. But if it was you were back in the big chair, you mentioned recruitment there before. Obviously, I think we're all kind of expecting some incomings and probably some outgoings as well. Yeah. But I guess if you were back in the big seat and you were heading into the Championship next year, where do you think we need to prioritise from the point of view of recruitment? And then what do you think we need to do to get off on the right foot in the Championship next season?
Good question. I think goalkeepers were fairly set. I think Arthur and Callum, with the backup of Mark around it, and we'll probably have one of the younger kids as well around it. So that's probably 4 keepers will be all right. I think Barney and the 2 Ryans would be okay at wing back. I think maybe a left-sided wing back, maybe a priority to competition with obviously Jimmy and Ravan. I think they'll be looking for one in each position. I think they'll be looking for a centre-half to add to the group. I think they'll be looking for a midfielder to add to the group, and they'll look for a striker. I think the important one is that we're going to need somebody to unlock a door at times, and I think we've missed that potentially this year. A goal. I know we've got Elliot Lee on 9 and top goal scorer, but that type of go and get us a goal from nothing. Can they create something from nothing? Can they get on the end and a through ball or just out of nothing? Because we've not really had that this year. We've been very play over the top to Sam Smith or get it wide and cross it in the box. That's basically how we go about our business. So somebody that maybe can get on that ball and just unlock something would be a really good addition. You know, similar to Asgard that went from Wigan to Luton. Somebody like that. I know he's been muted around and he's obviously gone to Luton, but somebody of that ilk that can play up front or in that midfield, attacking midfield role to nick us a goal and add to what we've got in those positions.
I'm sure they'll get Brian Flynn out because he knows everybody, and I'm sure he'll suggest a few players.
His massive black book.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Right. Well, I don't want to take any more of your time, Andy. Last question: how many presents did you have to buy Mrs. Morrell to get out the doghouse after missing your family holiday to go to Wrexham games?
Yeah. Well, that just came up on the, she said, I need to go away. I've had enough and I'm going for a break. I've got holiday to take. I'll take the 2 kids. My eldest, he's just started an accounting apprenticeship, so he couldn't get the holiday. So he was staying. And then it was sort of over that bank holiday weekend, that Easter weekend, where we had a couple of games. And, when we were booking it, it was like, well, we could actually get promoted there. And I'm like, I've done pretty much every game. Do I want to be away when they actually do it? And I sort of said to her, listen, what do you reckon? And I think she gave me more presents to not go, and she could go on her own. They had a brilliant time, and I was able to stay and do the Blackpool game, which was a great occasion. But yeah, we're okay. I'm glad to say.
I mean, I'm sure as a manager you had some difficult conversations with players, but I can't imagine they were any more difficult than having that conversation with your wife. I know from practical experience myself. Yeah. Well, Andy, Thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it. The incredible moments that you've shared with us this season, and we've all been a part of. Obviously, we're massively excited for next season, as I'm sure you are as well. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna be going into something that generations of Wrexham fans have never experienced before, and I know both you as a player and as a manager, this was your goal to get us this high. So the fact that you are going to be with us as part of it is going to be incredible. Hopefully, we'll see and hear you, Mia, Chris, and Mark next season in the Championship, which will be brilliant. But thank you so much for your time, and see you in the Championship. Come on the town.
Cheers, Andy.
Up the town. Thank you very much.
Now, on the Emotives podcast, it's time for today's newspaper, tomorrow's chip paper, where we catch up on Cymru and Wrexham football news. First up, some ticket prices have finally been dropped by Wrexham AFC. Next season's Wrexham AFC official membership packages are now on sale. These are 3 packages available, so people can pick which one is best for them, according to the Wrexham AFC website. They have merged the UK and global membership packages, so all membership packages are now available no matter where you are supporting the team from. The 3 packages are the Digital Dragon, which is £25 for adults and £15 for under 18s. The Red Dragon level, which is £35 for adults and £25 for under 18s. And the Gold Dragon level, which is £50 for adults and £40 for under 18s. According to the website, only members are guaranteed access to the ticket priority window for home matches at the Stoke Ras next season, and all official club members will receive, at minimum, exclusive discounts, partner benefits, competitions, and a personalised digital membership card. Jamie, I know you've looked at this because you told me earlier that you've already renewed of it. What are your thoughts on these new 3-banding system with regards to getting tickets for next season?
Well, I'm looking forward to getting my annual insert name here birthday email for 50 quid. Yeah, I mean, this email dropped this afternoon on social media and everything else. And I guess it makes sense. They've simplified it. And if you kind of look at it in isolation and you look at, what's included, you'd think, yeah, okay, that's pretty reasonable. But I think they have got to improve these memberships considerably, because I think previously they haven't offered particularly good value for money. I mean, the one main thing which I think a lot of people, certainly UK based, no, that's not true because it's everywhere. But I think predominantly for UK or certainly North Wales based members, the main reason why you're buying a membership is if you haven't got a season ticket, is to try and get access to the tickets in that priority window. And obviously on paper, having one of these memberships gives you that window. So you think, great, but you and I both know particularly what it's going to be like next season without the temporary cop. We're gonna, I remember the bun fight a couple of years ago prior to the temporary cop, and we're going to go back to that. If anything, it's going to be worse. Where you could literally have 10,000 members, anything between 5 and 10,000 members scrapping for, I mean, how much is it? About 2,500 general sale tickets is all there usually is available for home games with the capacity reduced. So, yeah, that new cop can't come soon enough. I'll be honest, because obviously I have to get a membership because I haven't got my own season ticket. You and I share one, but I got the gold membership purely because I'm intrigued to see what the gift is. But for 50 quid, unless it is actually a gold dragon, I'll be probably a little bit disappointed. But I had to renew it. Obviously I try and get tickets for, an extra ticket for whether it's for me or for you. And obviously my wife comes with us as well. So she's got a membership as well, although I only got her the cheap membership, so she doesn't get a free gift. So tough.
Look, you don't get a huge amount of difference between the levels. I mean, digital, you get everything. You get your ticket, you get your membership card digitally, and then you get pretty much everything you got last year, barring a gift. So you access to priority tickets, access to the ticket exchange platform if you want to give your ticket away. Well, you'd want to, I don't know, but maybe you would. Access to retail discounts and promotions from official club partners. So nothing to do with the club shop, but partners.
Yeah.
And your insert name here, e-birthday card, plus a digital match program you can get emailed directly to you and your monthly email newsletter. Then for the Red Dragon, it's basically the same, apart from you get a physical membership card. And you get 10% off an official Wrexham AFC merchandise, but at the club shop online only and only once.
Yeah.
Only once. And then for the gold, you get all that plus your free gift and more times to buy off merchandise. That's the difference between between when you think about it, the costing, you're talking about 25, 35 and 50. You're not getting a lot for your money, really.
No, you're not. And I suspect, we'll never know, but I suspect what you'll probably find if you were ever able to see the breakdown of who buys what, I think you will get an awful lot of international members will buy the gold one, because I think we know from speaking to some of our particularly American friends who follow Wrexham now, we've spoken to them many different people, and they all kind of say it blows their mind kind of how good of value following Wrexham or watching Wrexham is compared to American sports. So I think just purely to them, £50 for a gold membership will be a no-brainer. I think the vast majority of UK-based people who are buying membership will probably just go for the digital one, because, like I said, I think the vast majority of them are only buying them to try and give themselves a chance at getting the general sale tickets when they go on. But obviously the club have had to differentiate sometimes. I mean, it did make me laugh a little bit, like the 10% off the merchandise. But if you look at the small print, I'm pretty sure it says something about that's not applicable to replica kits, which is obviously
that's true. Exactly, it excludes items. Yeah,
but like I say, it was one of them. When I saw it drop and I read it, I was like, well, I've got to do it, But apart from anything else, I'm thinking along the lines of, I'm not saying they will, but if when the new cop is available and open, if they do look at giving a window for people to potentially buy any new season tickets that are made available, if they've had membership previous season or previous seasons, I didn't want to not be able to fall into that bracket. For the sake of whether it was 25 or 35 or 50 quid or whatever. So yes, I did. I renewed my membership today. So I'll very much look forward to my 10% off baby's bibs and a water bottle and a gold dragon in the post as my free gift. So I'll very much look forward to them.
Well, season tickets are now also open for renewals with an average of just under 15% rise on last year's prices. So an adult ticket, for example, for the Wrexham Lager stand is now costing £435 until the 6th of July. And then after that, if you don't renew by then, it will be £475. It equates to about just less than £19 per game for adults. All season tickets are strictly same person, same seat and are non-transferable. Those who are required to move for the stadium works will be allowed to relocate. However, the season ticket will not be allowed to be transferred to another person. As part of the revamped membership packages, all season ticket holders will be granted a digital Dragon membership with their season ticket, which will include all benefits associated along with it, including access to promotional offers and discounts, as well as the digital match program emailed to you before each home match. Choosing Digital Dragon will come at no extra cost, but if you want to go up, we want to provide the digital season ticket only. If you want to go Red Dragon, that'll be give you all the benefits of that, and you have to pay an extra £10 on your season ticket. If you want Gold Dragon, you've got to pay an extra £25 per season ticket to get to that level. Also announced with this is the installation of rail seating, with the club stating, as we look to improve the facilities within the Stoke Kairas over the course of the next season, we'll be gradually installing rail seating in the upper tier of the Stoke Cold Brew coffee stand, which is the tech end. This will allow the safe standing of supporters in those areas. First installations will start at the rear of the stand and gradually work their way towards the front across the course of the season during the international breaks and any other opportunities they can find. Working from rear to the front across the width of the stand will mean there is no risk of restricted sightlines for any supporters as the project is completed. Work will not commence on the project during the summer months, so no seats will be affected before the first home match, which will be installed in the upper tier only, so lower tier in the tech end will not be affected, where permanent seating will still be applicable. Daz, let's go to season ticket first. Just under 15%. Going to the Championship, good value for money, do you think?
Yeah, I just had a quick look at Birmingham to see what they're doing, and because obviously that's your direct comparison, really, having probably similar prices last year, and they've got a whole lot more options in terms of different stands and upper and down, but they're roughly the same, if not slightly up. So you've positioned yourself in alignment with the rest of the division by the feels of things. I haven't looked to see what the likes of Swansea or anything like that, but I think it feels about right.
It's funny you say that. I think Swansea are offering some cheaper options because there was a piece on it because Cardiff have, as Cardiff do, got relegated and then they've put up their prices quite dramatically, which a lot of Cardiff fans were very upset about. And Swansea fans came back and then said, well, actually, we are much cheaper than that, and we're staying in the Championship. The usual rivalry you get between Cardiff and Swansea. So I think, as you say, Birmingham I think is a good representation, is it? Because that's pitching in the right place. But this is necessary, isn't it? You can't expect to freeze prices when you're going up the divisions, can you? It's the law of sale and demand, isn't it? You've got to pay somehow.
Yeah, definitely. And okay, you've got the added problem that you've only got 3 sides, so those numbers are going to get impacted. So it was expected. It's reasonable. It doesn't feel like it's disproportionate in terms of that from your previous prices, because that's the other thing. Being in line with the rest of the Championship is fine, but it's the actual step up from last year to this year, because that's what you feel in your pocket immediately. And 15% doesn't seem unreasonable. I don't know what the step up was last year or the year before with your back-to-backs, but I wouldn't be complaining paying those prices to see Championship football.
Exactly. Jamie, rail seating, safe standing. It's been promised for a few seasons at Wrexham. Obviously, there's that little demo area, isn't there, to the side of the tech end. What are your thoughts? The tech end is going to get it first. Good idea to start it there, do you think?
Absolutely. That's where the no kind of disrespect to any other part of the stadium, but that's where the kind of heart of the atmosphere is, isn't it? In the ground is that upper part of the tech end. I know they've had there's been an issue for some time with fans persistently standing, and there's a concern over it. So it makes absolute sense to kind of just roll it out in there first. Obviously they've already said, haven't they, that in the new COP there'll be it'll feature in there, which again makes sense. But yeah, 100%. And I think some of the feedback I've read since that was announced a few hours ago, from obviously from guys who people who seated in there or are in that part of the stadium, they seem to be over the moon about it. So yeah, it can only be a good thing. And just with regards to the season ticket prices as well, I think you really have to tip your hat off to the football club. You know, people are very quick to criticise when you've just said there Cardiff got relegated and put their prices up. I think for me, I think what that shows is that the club, and I'm not gonna say Rob and Ryan, because I think you have to look at it broader now. There's so many more people involved. I know they're still at the top of the tree, but there's so many more people involved. But I think to me, what it shows is that the club is very, very in tune with the community, because I think everybody expected and was prepared for an increase. You know, I don't think there hasn't been one for 2 years, has there? They've.
I don't think there was one last year. No, I think it was. I think frozen. I couldn't.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure they've frozen prices for the last 2 years. So I think everyone was understandably expecting an increase. You know, particularly given the level that we're going up to. But I think the level that they have chosen to increase it by is fair. It's reasonable. I think it also takes into account the current level of facility available in the stadium, because like Dad said there before about, but he looked at Birmingham. I mean, funny enough, I had a very quick look when I saw the prices come out. I had a quick look at some things a bit more local. And I tell you what, go and have a look at Tranmere, go and have a look at Shrewsbury and see what they're charging for their season tickets. You know, I think Tranmere was over 400 quid. You know, Shrewsbury was anything between 321 and 521 quid. So,
wow.
And that's for, I mean, Christ, what division are they in now? League Two, is it something like that?
Cornflakes League of something.
Yeah, that's Farmers League football. So it's. I haven't looked at the rest of kind of the championship for reference, but I think in kind of using Daz's example of Birmingham, that is a stadium that the facilities and what's available is considerably better than what is at the Kairos. The club we all know the club know that the facilities are lacking. They are well behind where they need to be and where they're going to be. We know we're going to see some improvement. So I think, they've taken things like that into account as well. And, I think when you then consider what they're doing with the prices of the season tickets on top of what we were talking about with the memberships before, I think they've looked at it as a big exercise of saying, well, if we're sensible with putting the season tickets up, what the revenue we can generate from the memberships, plus obviously, subsidizing it with sponsorships and commercial backing as well, it allows it to keep it at a sensible price. And yeah, I think you have to tip your hat to them, to be fair, because I think it would have been very easy for them to put it up 25-30% and say, look, you can't expect to see championship football and it not cost. So yeah, fair play to them.
Nothing from the club about a loyalty scheme for the away tickets, which obviously are going to be in huge demand with the clubs we're playing next season. Disappointed not to see anything so far?
Yes, and I wouldn't say disappointed. No, I'm not disappointed, because for me personally, it doesn't hugely affect me, because I've been quite open about the fact I struck, like, fair play to you. You were one of the many who went to. I mean, Christ, you couldn't have missed many away games last season. You went
four, I think.
So there are people like yourself and a lot of other top Reds. I use that tongue in cheek, but you know what I mean. A lot of legacy fans who have followed the club away, and I've said openly before that I think those people should have access to tickets first if they are limited, and therefore the only way you can do that properly is with a loyalty scheme. So the fact there still isn't one is crazy, because you'd think now that they'd have the data and the facilities to be able to orchestrate one. I don't know why it still hasn't come about. I wonder whether they've not been overly concerned about it, going into the championship, because I think ultimately the stadia that we're going to be playing in are considerably bigger than what we've been used to. Yes, there's probably still the odd small one in there, but Christ, they just roll off the tongue. we don't know yet who's going up, but Stadium of Light, Leicester Stadium, Derby Stadium, even Birmingham Stadium, and you go on and on and on. These are huge stadiums. So I think the likelihood is the away allocations will be quite big anyway next season. So it may be not as much of a problem. But I am still a little bit surprised there's been nothing about a loyalty scheme, because it has been a problem now for the last couple of seasons, hasn't it? And I just feel for the people like yourself who do follow the club away from home a lot of the time.
It's a big g'day as Wrexham men will have this year's pre-season tour visiting Australia and New Zealand in July, with matches confirmed in Australia versus Melbourne Victory and Sydney FC, and in New Zealand versus Wellington Phoenix. Following on from two highly successful pre-season tours of the USA, Wrexham AFC's tour of Australia and New Zealand will see the club take on a high calibre of competition from the A-League, offering a true test against some of the region's most accomplished sides, according to the Wrexham AFC website. Several of Wrexham AFC's key partners, including Aviation American Gin, Gatorade, MetaQuest, United, Visit Wales and Wrexham Lager, will join the club on tour, helping bring the unmistakable spirit of Wrexham to fans across Australia and New Zealand. Wrexham will first play at the Marvel Stadium, surprise, surprise, in Melbourne to take on Melbourne Victory on Friday the 11th of July at 10:30 a.m. BST. Then at the Allianz Stadium in Sydney to play Sydney FC on Tuesday the 15th of July at 10:30 a.m. BST. And then across the Tasman Sea to the Sky Stadium in Wellington, which is a beautiful stadium right on the harbour. Incredible place to play in New Zealand, to take on Wellington Phoenix on Saturday the 19th of July. The only problem for us, and the Australians will be laughing their head off when I say this, it's at 4 a.m. BST. Yep.
Inconsiderate bastards.
Daz, a new region following on from the USA tours. Do you think it will be as successful as those tours have been?
As successful? Oh, I don't know. I mean, I haven't got my finger on the pulse about how many, what the numbers, the followership, the following that you get from Australia. I think the North American following is very well publicized. Whether it's Canada, whether it's whether it's United States of whatever that country is these days. I mean, if it still exists by the time Trump finishes with it, but there's a lot of fans there, and they're far more vocal. But we know from our friends down under that there is a definite following. There's passion for it, and I can't imagine that they've secured a deal like this without having done their due diligence and recognize that there's definitely an appeal for it. Now, I guess they show the documentary everywhere, so this, it's been going to be shown in New Zealand, it's shown in Australia, so there's clearly an appetite. It's a long way to go. We know, these preseason tours. As with most clubs,
I think the turf bus will have to start off early to get there. That's for sure. There's no doubt about
that. But it's that classic thing of what's its purpose? Is it about outreach? Is it about access? Is it about promotion and all of that? Is it genuinely preseason, practice and But we don't know what the players, what the transfer market is going to be like and all of that yet. So it'll be different because obviously at that time of the year obviously we've got ideas of glorious Australian weather, but I'm guessing that's their winter, so it's not too bad. So why not? I mean, I've well aware that the big clubs like Liverpool's and stuff like that will do a North American tour one year, and then they'll do Thailand or China or something like that. So there's the Middle East is the other area where the big tournaments are as well. So it's all part of a circuit. Didn't expect it to be Australia this soon, but great for Wrexham, great for the players to have that opportunity.
Jamie, Melbourne, second most successful side in A-League, Sydney with 5 A-League championships, and Wellington also an A-League team since the early 2000s. I mean, internationally, Australia and New Zealand have very, very good sides. But I don't know about how they are domestically. What level of competition do you think Wrexham are going to get?
Like you say, I don't know. I mean, maybe some of our, like I said, Australian friends can give us some insight. Australia and New Zealand, got to be careful not to pigeonhole pigeonhole this as all one. Maybe some of our fans who are based over there can give us a bit of insight, because I don't know. I don't know what kind of level you're pitching to here. If you were trying to compare it to, what's the comparison to our pyramid? Are these championship level teams? Are they Premier League? I don't know. I think, I shook my head before when Daz was sort of asking the rhetorical question about what's the purpose of this tour. It is a pre-season tour, and very much Parky will want to make sure that it's used properly for conditioning and for preparing the players as much as possible for the new season. He'll very much want to avoid the kind of negative impact that first tour of America had on the start of our season. I think it was much better last year, and I'm sure they've done their due diligence on this one with regards to the impact it's going to have on players from like a travel and fatigue perspective. But I think it is very much a marketing exercise. I think statistically, Australia, Australia and New Zealand is our kind of third biggest market outside of North America, and obviously the UK, which is why they've gone there. I think there is a big following. It'll be fascinating to see what kind of capacity or what kind of crowds are at these stadiums, because these are big stadiums.
Well, I think Marvel Stadium's over 35,000, and they see that'll sell out.
I was going to say these are big stadiums, and I've seen the ticket prices. They're not cheap. These are not cheap tickets. So, no. and I think the other key thing for me, and this really kind of hit me this afternoon. I was having out for a little walk, and I was looking at some stuff. And what really hit me about this is we're the headline for this. Unlike the tours where we've done previously, where this has been, we're playing Man United, we're playing Bournemouth, we're playing Chelsea, where they're very much the headline, even though it was a Man United youth team and a Chelsea youth team. We are the centre of this. This is Wrexham's tour, and that's just mind blowing. That it wasn't that long ago, a few very short years ago, that our pre-seasons consisted of, if we got as far as Aberystwyth, it was overseas.
What's wrong with Aberystwyth?
No,
of the West.
No, absolutely nothing is wrong with Aberystwyth. But the point is that we that was about as far as we travelled. So the fact that we're going on another for the third consecutive year, overseas pre-season event, and this is very much with us at the centre of it, is just it's so easy to overlook how crazy this is, but it is just absolutely nuts. But it'll be interesting again, won't it? Something different from the last couple of years. Certainly makes sense to go to that part of the world, and I'm pleased for. I noticed Adrian from when he used to be on Two Beards. I noticed he tweeted earlier on saying he got his ticket and stuff. So we know there are a lot of fans who are going to be able to see Wrexham in the flesh, or a version of Wrexham in the flesh, that they might not ever get to see again, because I'm pretty sure it's going to be a damn sight cheaper to go and watch Wrexham in a friendly than it will potentially to come over here, and not everybody's going to be able to do that. So it'll be interesting if nothing else.
Daz, obviously, as Jamie just said, they don't want to repeat the troubles of 2 years ago. It's a long way to go, as you said. Play an entire week, acclimatise while you're there, acclimatise when you get back. Phil Parkinson did apparently say today that he is also wanting to play 2 games back in Europe, is what he said. Didn't say UK. And they will be away because they need to give the Wrexham pitch time to fully bed in. There were rumours that possibly Wrexham could play Everton at their new stadium. What do you think about? What's your thoughts on that kind of a game?
Oh, I mean, that does make a lot of sense. I like the idea. I mean, I don't think it's a. I suppose again, going back to the team that you play and what's the purpose of that conditioning and playing, I think it's about finding level. I do think that if you pitch too high, I mean, it's otherwise if you pitch too low, you just put out youngsters and you try out new things. But if you pitch too high, you have to then force yourself to put your best team out to avoid embarrassment. So is that risking players right, early on before the beginning of the season. But you've got to play them. You've got to try to get them their fitness up and stuff like that. So it would certainly be a showpiece. That stadium looks amazing. It's going to be a huge step up from Goodison. So, although, can I just give a big shout out to the Everton management, who have announced last week that Goodison's not getting knocked down, and their main intention is to make it the women's game, the women's club stadium, which is a brilliant idea, considering the capacities and the success of that team, and so probably makes it one of the biggest designated and one of the few purposely designated women's football pitches. So big shout out to the Blues.
Park, isn't it? It's a part of British football history, Goodison Park. So it's great they're just not going to knock it down and turn it into a housing estate or a B&Q.
Yeah, admittedly, it's going to cost them a fortune to keep it running. It has been left derelict, not abandoned, but they haven't really improved it hugely over the last couple of years because they thought they were moving out and knocking it down. So I guess they've got plans. I'm sure it's all in place. But when you see the likes of the Bowling Ground getting knocked down and they move to the London Stadium or things like that, that is heartbreaking. But then I can't talk. The mighty Anfield is like Trigger's broom. It's still Anfield, but it ain't the Anfield it's not the same Anfield I went to in my first visit. Not one of those stands is the same stand that I went into when I was a kid. So, the heritage might be there, but it's not the same ground. Whereas, Goodison is different, but they had to do something. And so, so going back to your point about Wrexham playing Everton, that's great. I do think European football is the normal way of warming pre-season, immediate warm-up for your matches, Germany and Austria and places like that, altitude training, or some really interesting sort of competition against your Berlins, your teams in sort of Bundesliga or Bundesliga second division. So I don't know, the Europe suggests yes, it could be could be on the continent in that way, but I would say that coming straight back from Oz and then going straight into a season is definitely not the way forward. But to answer your question, I just had a quick look at the A-League league average attendances. So obviously Sydney being one of the biggest attendances, as well as Melbourne, about 12 to 15,000. Whereas New Zealand and Wellington is normally 9,000. So they're much smaller weekly, as in for the league. But they have got one-off attendances that easily surpass 35,000 when they've got special occasions. I think that it's clearly something that they will support, but their actual week-to-week, attendance surprisingly low, probably akin to League One, League Two.
Yeah, absolutely. Wrexham AFC women have travelled to Hong Kong to take part in the HKFC Standard Chartered Soccer of Sevens tournament. Try and say that with your teeth in. Becoming the first women's side to do so from outside of Asia. The tournament was introduced to women's competition for the first time in 2024. Includes Premier League sides Aston Villa, Brighton and Hove Albion and West Ham United in the men's section. Managed by women's under-19s coach and Wrexham legend Gaz Owen, in total the Red Dragon squad will consist of 10 players, with several of the 2024-25 Gino Adran North under-19s winners taking part in the competition. So it features Chloe Ankers, Grace Morris and Leah Burke, who have all made first-team appearances to date. They will be joined by first-team players Lily Jones, Ava Suckley and Erin Lovett, plus, which is fantastic, ex-Wrexham player and co-coms Mia Roberts, who was part of the Wrexham side that got promoted to the Gennaro Adrian Premier in 2023, will take the final position in the squad. Games in the round are Chonburi FC on Friday the 16th, kickoff 11:06 a.m. BST. Eastern Thunder on Friday the 16th, kickoff 12:36 p.m. BST. Hong Kong Football Club on Saturday the 17th, kickoff 4:03 a.m. BST. And TSL FC, Saturday the 17th, kickoff 5:45 a.m. BST. And Kitchee Sports Club on Saturday the 17th, kickoff 7:44 a.m. BST. Won't be watching all of those games for sure. This will be a league phase initially, playing each of the sides once prior to a knockout tournament following the conclusion of the earlier fixtures. If Wrexham make the knockout stage, all the knockout games will be played on Sunday, May the 18th. The top two sides will proceed to the Women's Cup final, with teams ranked 3rd and 4th placed in the Women's Shield final, and the teams ranked 5th and 6th will compete in the Women's Plate final. Matches will last for 14 minutes in total, made up of 2 7-minute halves with a 1-minute interval at half-time.
Did you write the rules for this? Because
No.
those are about as confusing as the Chip Shop League.
Nothing to do with
Jesus.
See, this is where I get all my inspiration from. Daz, valuable experience for the Wrexham players, particularly those from the under-19s being involved, to go all the way to Hong Kong?
Yeah, I mean, anything like that is going to enhance their experiences. To be part of the playing alongside the senior side is always, beneficial. I think it's, aspirational in terms of it allows the rest of the younger players recognizing that there's a place for them in the future. Potentially, if they continue to perform to achieve, they'll get included in these kind of things. So it gives them the motivation. It's kind of a reward for the great work that has been going on within the club this year as well. Because as much as they have had their ups and downs, it's still been some really good performances. So it's one of these tournaments where the format we've discussed many times, very confusing in terms of the benefits. I don't know what that in terms of tactics, strategy, position. It's not the same game.
It's quite intense, doesn't it? 10 players in the squad, so it's obviously not full pitch, and 7 minutes aside. It's fast paced by the sounds of it. It's like almost like 5-a-side football, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And so but again, it's a good publicity machine sort of opportunity to have the name in the right place and to be seen in these areas. It's only going to help broaden the fan base. But I genuinely think that it's nice to see a good number of current team players playing. What we've seen in some of the men's versions of this, that they've been bringing out the retired or the semi-retired. Whether it's your man. Trundle or somebody like that, you know what I mean? It's like, although, did you see his goal this week? Screamer, check Trundle. Anyway, aside, watch it. It's worth seeing.
He's still got it. Let's put it that way.
He definitely
choked, but he's still got it.
Definitely. No, it's definitely one of those things where I think sometimes the veterans and the senior players kind of, I don't know, it just changes the dynamic. So I think this is great for the women's game, that it's all, a good number of first team players and the under 19s and stuff. So yeah, some quality, fresh, young players, and let's see how they do against teams who play this format regularly. That'll always be the interesting thing.
Wrexham AFC Wrexham AFC women's duo. See, its own name, it always gets in the way. Wrexham AFC women's duo Abby Idenden and Lily Jones have been nominated for the Gennaro Adrian Premier Player of the Season and Young Player of the Season awards, respectively, according to the Wrexham AFC website. Abby and Lily were integral parts of the women's campaign, which saw them recover from below-par starts to climb into the top 4 for a second consecutive season, beating Swansea City and Cardiff City for the first time in the process. Abby is nominated with Shannon Evans of Cardiff City and Tia Richardson from Britain Ferry Llansamwell. Lily is nominated with Fiona Barry of Cardiff City and Lexi Jones of the New Saints. You can all vote for your favourite player in both categories by clicking the link on the Wrexham AFC website or going to the FAW's National League Awards page directly. Voting closes on on 5 p.m. on Monday, May the 19th, with the winners determined by a mix of public vote and an independent panel. And the winners will be announced at the FAW National League Awards on Saturday, June the 7th. Daz, Player of the Season first. 3 really, really good nominees there. Shannon Evans and Tia Richardson, particularly, are superb players. But well-deserved place for Abby and a good chance of winning it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the risk of stealing some thunder from later on in our conversation today, I'm a big champion of Abby Idenden this year, and I think she deserves every credit. And so I do think she's got a good chance, because there have been times where, I'm not saying she's carried that team, but without her, I'm not entirely sure how this season would have panned out. So I think she's a huge influential player, and what a game changer, and just the level of performance. So definitely well deserved nomination.
Jamie, Lily Jones going for her second Young Player of the Season in a row. But Fiona Barry has been absolutely excellent for Cardiff. I mean, is it going to be tough, do you think, for her to get a second award?
Yeah, I think it will be tough this year for her. While she's still been an integral part of Wrexham's season, I think probably by her own admission, she's maybe not had as influential a season as she had, say, last year. But but just to be nominated is recognition for, her levels she's achieved. So I'm sure she'll take some comfort out of that. I like you've just said, I'd be surprised if she wins that one, to be honest. But great that she's had some recognition, just being nominated, and B, she should still be proud of her contributions this season.
Daz, were you surprised that Ava Suckley wasn't nominated as young player? I mean, joint second highest goal scorer of the season.
Yeah, but I think in terms of influential, that having influencing the games at key times, Lily's been really important. I'm a huge fan, and he's still a young age, obviously, but critical to that position in the middle of the team. So I think she merits her place in the nominations too. But I can't see them giving more than one nomination per club. I think when you've got 3 or 4 clubs all achieving some great performances this year, but Fiona Barry, outstanding, although coming on as a sub quite a lot for it, that I don't know if that will go against her, but she has been literally Cardiff's game changer. And Lexi's, I think my money's on Lexi for that one. I think she's just been in a team of, I'm not saying TNS are more average. They've got a different level throughout the team. Lexi's the standout, whereas I think Fiona Barry's been playing in a team of a lot stronger players, so it helps to be in a strong team. So that's where my money is. I think Lily's been great, but can she compete with the other two? Probably not.
And now, live from a shed in Summerhill, it's the annual Golden Potato Awards. Here's your host for the evening, once voted man most likely to eat his weight in cake. It's Welsh Techie.
It's the time of year again where we fill up the hot tub with Tizer and put on our party frocks. Yes, the 3rd annual Eat More Chips Golden Potato Awards are here, sponsored by the Coronary Society. If it ain't hurting, it ain't working. Coming live from the spa in Kevin Abathe, the stars are out faster than a teenager on Nitros. So, as I look over, I can see darts player Luke the Nuke Littler discussing the finer points of Renaissance art with dancer Louis Spence. Myself, Jamie and Daz are out in force to celebrate those players who once again have kept us from enjoying our Saturdays and fully on the edge of our seats. So, to our first award of the evening, we start with the Get In There Award for Wrexham Goal of the Season. There have been fewer goals this season, obviously, from Wrexham, but the level has still been very, very high. But this winner was absolutely unanimous from all 3 of us. Jamie, will you open up the envelope and tell us the winner, please?
Sam Smith against Charlton.
Jamie, why does this goal get goal of the season for you?
Well, before I answer that, on behalf of everybody watching, what the fuck are you wearing?
If you got it, flaunt it, kidder. You know what I'm saying? Hey,
So-
the last this bow tie online, I didn't have a shirt on. So, think you're lucky.
So, for audio listeners, this nutter has put on a Dickie bow with his Wrexham shirt, and all I want to know is when are you going to get one in your size? Because that's fair dues. That's not even going over any of your chins. Wow. Anyway, Sam Smith goal against Charles. So you said there unanimously we all agreed on this. I have to be honest, and I think I've said this to you. For a long time this season, even probably up to the award ceremony at the racecourse end of the season, I was still adamant that Jack Marriott's against Wycombe on the first game of the season was, for me, goal of the season. But the more I watched this back, and then the more that I kind of realised that the game he scored it in, and the importance of the game, and the way the day unravelled, I had to change my mind, and I had to go with this as goal of the season. I mean, it was just something special, wasn't it? I mean, the pass from Matty James and then the technique to finish it the way he did was brilliant, and a very worthy winner of a terrible golden potato. Lucky him.
Now to the What a Screamer Award for Cymru Goal of the Season. Again, some really fantastic goals to choose from. Daz, please open the envelope and tell us the winner.
And the winner is Harry Wilson against Montenegro.
Daz, why was this Cymru Goal of the Season for you?
I think that, you know, amongst some really strong goals for both the men and the women's game, you know, this just stood out because I think, first of all, it was away, hostile crowd. It was at a time when we were in a period of change, new management. We'd managed to get a really sort of stubborn draw out earlier, but this was our first win under the Bellamy reign, and literally in the rain. I mean, it was absolutely bucking it down. But the way the ball falls to him, the way is just, you know, it was very early on, 3rd minute of the game. We were already one goal up, and it was just the way he sort of drifted in from midfield, took one touch, set it up beautifully, and it was a screamer. And we know what his left foot can do, but the way it just curved beautifully into the top right-hand corner, keeper had no chance, and we were sitting pretty 2-0 up with only having played 3 minutes. That was a very, very special goal.
Well, there's a real party atmosphere here tonight in Kevin Obeidh, turning out en masse to see the Stars. I've just seen ex-Prime Minister Tony Blair selling raffle tickets for a £1 stretcher hamper. So, on to the next award, the Ooh Award for Wrexham's most surprising moment of the season. Something that totally surprised all three of us. Although the main surprise was probably getting promoted again, honourable mentions were to Wrexham women for thumping Cardiff City women. But Jamie, can you open the envelope and announce the winner, please?
Yeah, hang on, let me get me fake envelope. It's the Arthur Okonkwo signing.
Jamie, another goalkeeper wins the Ooh Award from last year. I mean, why does this signing of Arthur get it for you?
I think this was probably a little bit overlooked, and you have to go right back to the first signing that was announced at the start of last season, and obviously it was Arthur. And I think because he'd been with us for the season prior, I think we maybe kind of overlooked the significance of this signing. We had no right signing him. You know, he was on loan to us from Arsenal, and okay, the end of his contract had come, but for the performances he put in for us in that League Two season, he should have been signing for a Championship club. So we had no right signing him, and so the reason for me why it was such a surprising moment was because I think it really showed a statement of intent from the club to put a package together that obviously was appealing to him, to convince him to sign and to be part of the long-term sort of future, and as much as I hate using the word, but project. It was a massive signing and a big surprise, you know, to me that we managed to get that one done. So yeah, that's the winner.
Next, the WTF Award for Cymru's most surprising moment of the season. Daz, please open the envelope and announce the winner.
And the winner is Kiefer Moore scoring a first-minute goal against Montenegro.
Popular game, the Montenegro game. Why did this moment get this award for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you know, I did think hard and fast, you know, along about the fact that having 2 goals from this one game, it does feel a little bit like I only saw this one game all season. But it's not true. But again, the surprising moment for me is not the fact that it was Kiefer Moore. We know what Kiefer Moore can do. He's a quality finisher. He gets himself about in the box. But because for Bellamy's first goal scored under the Bellamy era, this was not the goal I was expecting. Again, big shout out to Harry Wilson. Big pressure, gets in amongst the defenders. This is in the very first few seconds of the game. So kickoff has only just been, a matter of seconds previously. Wilson gets his body in amongst the players, toe pokes it, and it bounces all over the place. Kumas is looking for it, Kiefer Moore's looking for it, and it just bounces and lands just very conveniently in front of what we've now become to recognise as the very distinctive look of a red-banded Kiefer Moore with the headband from his head injury previously, and for him to just get this sort of toe poke of a finish and just stab it away into the goal within 40 seconds of a kickoff was not the goal I was expecting for this game, away from home in the rain, the way that it happened, and certainly to start off this, what has been, and it still continues to be, a great era of Welsh football under Bellamy. That is not the goal I was expecting. So that was definitely a surprise to me.
The Stars have really come out in force tonight to celebrate with us. There's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson with paramedics, as his peanut allergy has just kicked in after eating a Kai Gurley quiche. Hopefully that EpiPen will work soon. Next, the Sliding Doors Award for Wrexham's season turning point, a moment which we felt sent the season in the right direction. Again, all three of us agreed on this. So Jamie, please open the envelope and tell us the winner.
Shit, hang on, let me get my fake envelope. And the winner is the new pies in the kiosk. No, sorry, I mean the Wickham away win.
Jamie, why does this moment win the Sliding Doors Award for you?
Well, although it was late on in the season, if you look back at the results around that time, we were on the back of a very poor performance and result away at Reading. The few days before, we lost 2-0 and played particularly badly. So to then go to Wickham, obviously, whom we were toe-to-toe with for a big part of the season, and to come away with the 3 points was for me a massive turning point. But I think it was the added element to the game was obviously with what happened to the long delay, obviously with the supporter falling ill, and that spell, obviously that last 15 minutes, which was like a little micro game in itself, the way that obviously the players and the way that Parky got the players prepared for that time, and for them to go out and get the winning goal was very, very significant, and for me was a big turning point of the season.
Now it's the Alternate Universe Award for Cymru's season turning point. Honourable mention to the appointment of Craig Bellamy as Cymru men's manager. But Daz, open the envelope and tell us who wins, please.
And the winner is Cymru women playoff game against Republic of Ireland away.
Absolutely agreed with this one, but why did you think this gets the award?
I think expectation of there's been such a history of nearly making a difference, getting through into sort of playoffs, not quite getting sort of that final step to a major tournament each time being sort of just short. Some fantastic players over the years, missing out on a major tournament. And so to have got through to this playoff, having got through, and I could have gone for the semi-final playoff beforehand. That could have been absolutely, because there was a moment there where we thought, having lost the first leg, it could have been different. But what I liked about this game, and why I think this was the turning point I think this is a turning point for the women's game, full stop. I mean, it's simple to say that of course it's a turning point in the history of Welsh football, because it allowed them to qualify for a major tournament for the first time. But I actually think that the way they won this game, the way that they played, whether it was the brilliant penalty taken, it was just beautifully rolled and stroked past with confidence. The way that a breakaway goal, beat the offside trap and won and finished. Jones finished with such confidence in that moment. Yes, we conceded a goal to make it 2-1 and a nervy finish with all backs against the wall. But that, I think, is what I admired the most. We felt that we played well. We dominated the game at certain times. then when things started getting either whether it was tired or Irish substitutions or tactics, they were able to defend with grit and desire, and they were not letting go of that place in a major tournament. And I just think under Wilco we have seen this step up, this major change in the women's game, where rather than hopeful, we're now going into games thinking we've got a chance of winning. And the proof of that, and why this is the turning point for me, is I think the way that they've approached every game now in the Nations League against top sides in this top, in a top group, whether it's a couple of draws against Sweden, narrowly losing to Italy, narrowly losing to Denmark, that's not something we'd be talking about a few years ago. And so the confidence, the belief, and winning in such style away, having already the drawn at home, you'd think that the home advantage would have given them something to go to Dublin, to be able to lift their game to such a high level and perform. I genuinely think this team believe they can play and beat anyone, and for me that's why it's such a turning point in not just this season but women's football in Cymru.
The dance floor is really busy now. I can see astrologer Russell Grant and Dame Judi Dench attempting the oops upside your head dance, much to the delight of the Archbishop of Canterbury. Next, the award for the bloody good job they're there award for Wrexham's most valuable player of the season. A number of players could legitimately win this award due to their valuable contributions. Honourable mentions to Abby Idenden for spearheading Wrexham women's attack. But Jamie, please open the golden envelope and announce the winner.
And the winner is, there's nobody better than Stephen Fletcher. Not even Cristiano. Yeah, Stephen Fletcher.
Jamie, why does Stephen Fletcher win MVP for you?
His goals, basically. I go back to that spell, in particular the back end of 2024 and into the start of 2025, where I was coming on this pod every week, and I was saying that I felt we were playing poorly and we were being very lucky. I felt in games we were being very lucky, but we were still picking up wins and we were still picking up points. And a lot of those wins and a lot of those points that we were picking up in that time were as a result of Stephen Fletcher scoring crucial, having an impact on games and scoring crucial and in a lot of cases very late goals. I think to finish joint second top scorer with Max, given that he plays 20 minutes off the bench, it tells its own story about how significant his contribution was this season. Quality, absolute quality player. Unfortunately, he's right at the back end of his career, but really, really valuable this season.
Now it's the couldn't have done it without you award for Cymru's most valuable player of the season. Again, a number of players could win this award, so Daz, please open the envelope and tell us who the winner is.
And the winner is Kerry Holland for Cymru Women.
Daz, why does Kerry, of all the players, win this award for you?
I just think that if you want somebody to epitomise what wearing that shirt, what wearing that badge means, Kerry Holland is the player for me. Even in either version of the men's or the women's game, I just think there's the perfect example there of somebody who, first of all, shows the passion, the commitment, the drive, the desire to want to be every blade of grass on a pitch she covers, and that's not because of her, the fact that she plays every position on the pitch as well. The fact that she's one of the most versatile players. Wilco can happily play her at right back, put her on the left wing, second striker, whatever you need her to do, she's more than capable, and she's shown it time and time again. The game against Denmark epitomizes how important she is. We were one goal down, and then before half-time, she's able to finish a shot with ferocity after the corner, the ball doesn't get cleared properly, and she just makes the most amazing, brilliant strike to get it back across the goal and to score and bring us 1-1. And would that was looking like a very, very strong result. I mean, the only downside of that game was her injury, that, you know, she left a couple of minutes before the end of time. It looked serious. Luckily, it wasn't as serious as first thought. So she was able to get, you know, reasonably well looked after and quickly back into Premiership, playing back for Liverpool again before the end of the season. So that's a relief. So I'm glad that nothing was, you know, but it was just the way that she contributes, but the way that she can do it from any position on the, like I said, you know, I jokingly said she has played virtually every position on the park except goalkeeper, and you know what, I wouldn't put it past her to being a brilliant goalkeeper as well, because the footwork that, you know, she's got, the leg work that you need to get in front of goal, I think she could do it. So yeah, phenomenal performances all year long for the whole campaign, and really looking forward to seeing how she gets on in a major tournament in the summer, because we've missed her in the in the last game in the Nations League.
The drink is flowing as he gathers pace tonight. There's BBC Cymru weatherman Derek Brockway having an arm wrestling match with actor Chris Pine, the loser having to take out the bins. So on to our next award, the Where Have They Been All Season award for Wrexham's Most Improved Player of the Season, someone who showed a marked improvement in their game to really benefit the side. In the eyes of the three of us, Max Cleworth came really close. So Jamie, please open the envelope.
And the winner is, and I'm not on mute this time, Lee Rathbone.
Jamie, why does Ollie win Most Improved Player of the Season?
This was an easy one for me. I think if you go back to the start of the season when we first saw him, I think we were probably all scratching our heads a little bit, wondering what on earth we bought, because he looked a bit lost. He looked a bit... we couldn't work out what kind of player he was. I think, knowing now what we know, I think clearly he was being played out of position. At the time, he was just filling gaps. But what a player he turned into for us last season. Second half of the season in particular, his engine of getting up and down the pitch and covering literally every blade of grass on every pitch he plays is ridiculous. And he came up with man of the match performance after man of the match performance, and scored some real crucial goals in that second half of the season, and turned into an absolutely fantastic player and a steal with whatever we paid for him from Rotherham. So yeah, for me, given how he started the season versus how he ended it, he absolutely wins this one.
Next, it's the Oh, There You Are award for Cymru's Most Improved Player of the Season. A large number of players entitled to win this award, so Daz, please open the envelope and tell us who it is.
And the winner is Rabi Matondo.
Daz, why does Rabi deserve this award?
I think this year has been such a breakthrough year for Rabi, and I think a lot of that's to do with Bella's sort of policy of, if you're good enough to play, put you in the squad, we'll play you, and he's getting his moments. I think he had his first senior call-up back in 2018. He's only 24 now, so he was a young kid in the squad. And he's played alongside some quality players in the Cymru team, and he's played friendlies and he's played Nations League, and this year I just think being allowed to play more for Cymru, that Bellas has given him that opportunity. He's shined. I think he's just shown his potential. We've known he's a quality player. He came through the ranks at Cardiff City and then to Manchester City, but then had to go to Germany to get his football, and came back to the UK via Rangers. Now he's now back out in Germany again on loan, so I don't know if that's because there's no place for him at Rangers, whether or not they feel he needs game time because they want to keep hold of it. There's a lot to unpack there, but whilst he's been out there, his form, he's been playing, he's played 6 or 7 games, by the time he was out there, scored goals. But I think what's pleased me for his performance is not only did he set up a goal in previous appearances, but this time he's got his first goal. I think he's been there or thereabouts so often. So to be able to get a goal in the 3-1 win against Kazakhstan, I appreciate it's Kazakhstan, but still, it was an important landmark for him, because I just think he's been on the cusp some quality players. We've got great choice for wingers. We've got great choice. You've got your Dan Jameses or or Bale before then. You know what I mean? He's been tough. It's been tough for him to get into the squad. So now he's got this opportunity, and Bellamy believes in him, and he's playing well. I'd like to see him play more, and if he can get into the squad consistently, I think there's a lot to be seen from Ravi. So really pleased for him, and definitely my most improved player.
Well, as the evening draws to a close, it's great to see like minds mingling. There's actor Tom Hardy doing impressions of Rick from The Young Ones, with presenter Claire Balding being Vivian and journalist Jeremy Paxman being Neil. So, finally, our last awards, the Wrexham Women's Legend Award for Wrexham Women's Player of the Season. Large number of players in the women's team have been incredible this year, so choosing a player has been difficult, and this one actually was a 2-1 split. So, Jamie, please open the envelope.
And the winner is everyone's favourite, especially yours, Abby Iddenden.
Jamie, why did Abby, and I'm only going to say her first name, win Player of the Season for you?
Purely because she kept scoring goals, so you have to keep saying her name every week. That goals, not just goals. I think, I think if you look back in what has been a frustrating season, probably overall for the ladies, what an unbelievable signing. If you look at her contribution all season, probably the most consistent player, I think, in the women's team all season. Scored lots of goals, contributed to some really good performances, and like I said before, gave us countless laughs listening to you trying to pronounce her name every week. So for that reason alone, she should get 2 golden potatoes.
Next, it's the Cymru Women's Legend Award for Cymru Women's Player of the Season. No surprises with this one. Daz, please open the envelope and tell us the winner.
And the winner is Jess Fishlock.
For the second year in a row, and well deserved. But for you, Daz, why does Jess win this award this year?
I mean, the plaudits, she's deserved every plaudit that she's ever had, but I just think that the athleticism, the endurance, the capacity to still be playing at the top level, at a really, really good level for so long, is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. I mean, she's our most capped player ever. And there's a reason for that, her fitness, her attention to detail, and we've known that for many, many years. What I thought was significant about this year is that actually she has not necessarily been the go-to player this year. Injuries have kept her outside a couple of times, but she's always there. She's there alongside the management. Her voice, her wisdom, her experience, what she's been given to the younger players in terms of insight and knowledge. I mean, how valuable is that? And I just think Brian Wilkinson can only dream of having a player like that in your squad that can give that wealth and knowledge and just guidance of what it's like to be a young player coming through the ranks. And to see her also recognize that she couldn't carry on playing all the games. She had injuries. She knew that she was going to be a hindrance. She almost made herself come off. She knew that as much as she's the quality player she is, she knew that she couldn't be at the detriment to the team and their drive for success and qualification. She knew she had to step away. She knew that when she came back from fitness that it wasn't 100%, so didn't play her from the start, but was willing to put in a shift at the end of games. And I just thought it was quite the selfless nature of getting her into the team and getting the most out of her the way that we could was a real combination of good management, but also a willingness to be part of that squad. And I just don't think you can, there aren't many players who can have that sort of understanding the bigger picture, because she knows this could define her legacy in many ways. She's had a great career, but she's always said she wanted to take Cymru to a major finals, and here she is. Hopefully, she'll go. Whatever happens, if she's fit or not, she'll be in that squad. She'll be somewhere in there as the water bottle carrier or something. She won't care. She will be on that plane to Switzerland.
Absolutely, definitely. Moving on, it's the Wrexham Men's Legend Award for Wrexham Men's Player of the Season. Many players in the men's side are in contention for this. And again, this was a 2-1 split. So, Jamie, please open the envelope.
And the winner is Max Cleworth.
A tough list, this, to pick a winner from, definitely. Why does Max win this for you?
Consistency, I think, is the main reason. I know Ollie Rathbone got the official Player of the Season, and I have no issues with that. But I said all along that for me, my vote went to, and I did legitimately vote for Max as my Player of the Season. I just felt that over the course of the whole season, he was very consistent. He was a 7 or 8 out of 10 every week in, week out. Stepping up a level again. Let's not forget this is a young, developing player who has stepped up with us, National League, League 2, League 1, and has improved every step he's made. He's improved. He's not just sort of blagged his way through. He's shown improvement in all areas of his game. This season being proof in point with his goals, adding goals to his game. We've talked before about he's bulked up, so he's got a bit more muscle on him. So he's stronger on the ball, stronger holding off attacking players. But like I say, he's added goals to his game this season. To score 8 goals and again be second joint top goal scorer is a fantastic return from a centre back. I know we were spoiled a few years ago with Aaron Hayden and his goals, but Max has scored all different types of goals this year, headers and brilliant strikes and everything else. So and some of those goals were crucial along the way as well. So for me, Max gets this award. Being very, very consistent and a real quality season from him.
And finally, the Cymru Men's Legend Award for Cymru Men's Player of the Season. Daz, please open the envelope and tell us who's won.
And the winner is Joe Allen.
Now, some might be surprised by this selection, but I wasn't. But why did you pick Joe Allen to win this award?
Yeah, I think when you asked me to name this player of the season, but also you called it a legend, and I feel that this is the moment where we do have to recognise that as an absolute servant of the game, right until the end. And yes, there were moments where maybe we began to see the Joe Allen of old is long gone. The legs aren't there. But I don't know, the desire again. We talked about it on other players. That willingness, that desire, the want to play for your national side. You can't underestimate the value of that and the wisdom that it brings around the squad. But I just think I wanted to sort of mark, a key moment. For me, he remains one of my all-time favourite players. My family will tell you now that the idea that when he moved to Liverpool, it was like kismet for me. It was just all about bringing all of that perfect together. And as for me, it was just a glorious time for me as a Liverpool and a Welsh fan. So, and I just think it just needs to be recognised that what he achieved, what he was able to do, to be so well recognised in terms of his performance in 2016 Euros, player of the tournament's kind of status, to be able to have influenced the game for so long, and to recognise that playing at the highest level is getting difficult, but the boy from Pembrokeshire, from Carmarthen, those early days in Preseli. God, what he had achieved to get to where he is today, and for him just to be loved by so many players, fellow players, but also so many fans. You can't underestimate the impact he's had on Welsh football. And for me, it will be a sad day when we realise he'll not be playing for us anymore. So I wish him well with what he does. I hope he goes into management. I think he's got a wise head on those shoulders, and if he can bring that wisdom and continue to be around the Welsh squad, then I think we've got a really good, potent winning formula there with the likes of Ramsey in the camp, alongside Alan, with Bellas at the helm. I think it could be very exciting. So thank you, Joe, for everything you've done.
So there we are. Congratulations to all our winners in what has been an incredible year for football in Cymru. We have to throw everyone out now as the Kevin Abate Spa closes at 11. And so another Golden Potato Awards draws to a close. My thanks go to all the players and fans for being there for the town and the nation. And who knows what we'll be celebrating in 12 months' time. It's Eurovision week, so time to pop off into my spandex suit with feathers and sequins and a flashing codpiece. Or for me, a usual Thursday night. You've been listening to the Eat More Chips podcast, the official podcast, one of the greatest Welsh supporters flags in the universe. If you have enjoyed listening to us, please support the podcast, like, subscribe, and leave a comment. You can find us on audio at Spotify, Apple, and YouTube Music. You can also go onto our social media, such as X, Threads, and Blue Sky, at Tweet More Chips, or drop us an email, eatmorechipspodcast, all one word, @gmail.com. Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, Eat More Chips Podcast, and on Facebook, search for the Eat More Chips Podcast group. You can leave us a review if the platform you're listening on lets you do so, and if you have anything particular you'd like us to discuss, please feel free to drop us a line. Our thanks, as always, to the North Wales folk band The Harvesters and their 1978 Wrexham football song. We're having a week off next week, so Daz can recharge his batteries and Jamie can replace his so his vibrator hits the spot. So, thank you, Jamie.
My pleasure. I'm just going to go out and fly my remote control aeroplane for a bit longer.
And thank you, Daz.
You're welcome. Thank you very much, guys.
I've been Welsh Techie. We'll see you in 2 weeks. So save your kisses for me while making your mind up so we can all shine a light together. 3 UK Eurovision winners in one sentence, and no one will appreciate it. So thanks for that. Anyway, until next time, come on, Cymru, and come on the town.